Roundtable, a Southgate Media Group podcast. I'm Olivia Richards.
I'm Kyle Tremblay.
And we're from showratings.tv, where you can rate and review all your favorite shows, including the new series we're talking about today,
Stalker.
All right. So based on the CBS description of the show, it's a psychological thriller about detectives who investigate stalking incidents, including voyeurism, cyber harassment, and romantic fixation for the Threat Assessment Unit of the LAPD. And it stars Maggie Q and Dylan McDermott. So I just want to start off by saying that, I literally almost had to shut off the show within the first 5 minutes of watching. And I just wanted to get, your initial reaction, because it hit me on a very, visceral level.
I will say that I must admit something. Even though I am a professional who writes and reviews TV, I didn't make it through this pilot. Because I hated it so much. I got to about, it was like a 44-minute pilot. I got to about minute 38 before I was like, okay, I've seen enough. This, and those first 5 minutes were the worst. This is bad. This is really irresponsible for a show like this to exist. It reminds me so much of The Following, a show that I burned to the ground when I reviewed it for a few episodes last season. And it's by the same creator, so that makes sense. There was nothing redeeming about this. It was certainly it has no value in terms of raising awareness of stalking. It's this fictional kind of stalking that's really romanticized. It's a show that hates women but also hates people in general. It's a show that hates everything. And I found it pretty sickening. What about you?
Oh, God. I mean, the first 5 minutes, just the screaming and the fact that, literally not only does it happen on one occasion, it happens on 3 separate occasions that a woman is literally drenched from head to toe in gasoline. And somebody starts, the stalker starts striking the match. And, I felt my stomach starting to churn. And it's just, I think about the incidents of friends I've had who have been stalked in the past. I think about the fact that I worked at a women's boutique over the summer, and we literally had a separate section where we sold mace. It was a jewelry and clothing boutique, and we made it a point to sell mace in our store. It's such a prevalent issue in our society, and the fact that this show is, like you said before, it takes something that's it's such a prevalent issue, and it makes it into this fetish and this romantic thing that it isn't. And it was bad watching.
Well, you know who agrees with our assessment? The National Stalking Resource Center, whose director, Michelle Garcia. Again, this is the largest resource center for victims of stalking, a real organization who helps people. Penned an open letter to Les Moonves, the president of CBS, writing him to cancel the show because it is irresponsible. And in that letter, I just want to quote from it briefly because she is saying a lot of what we're saying. She says, one of our greatest challenges in keeping victims safe and holding offenders accountable is the minimization and normalization of stalking behaviors. This show only makes our work more difficult by framing stalking as entertainment. Would CBS air a show called Rapist and justify it as a way to raise awareness about sexual violence? Which is, first of all, she's just ethering CBS, and she's absolutely right, and I can't say it any better myself, because, this show is, operating under the guise of raising awareness about stalking and being a horror movie. But in reality, it's completely glorifying something that is a real crime, and exploiting it, and as the letter says, normalizing it, which is the real problem. This is bad. This is really
and I think
bad.
even taking it, a step further, because I think when you see what you're saying as it becomes normalized, it also desensitizes us to the issue. That was one of the points I wanted to make, because I even had it. I was like, shows like Stalker increase our culture's desensitization of violence, and especially violence against women, because in the thriller genre, the biggest thing in that genre is that sex sells. So what you're saying is look at the women who become victims on the show. They're beautiful, thin women being chased around, being doused in gasoline, and we're just watching it as entertainment value. Right. So it becomes this toxic force in our society because we don't think about it as being as serious as it is, and we don't think about the consequences. We just
Mhm.
think, oh, I'm just watching this show. I'm just watching like these characters. I'm like, but this happens every single day. This happens in real life, and these victims are out there and they have to deal with the fallout, and we're not going to see that on the show because it doesn't serve a purpose on the show because it's not going to provide entertainment value for the audience.
Right. And as the letter cites, only 2% of stalking cases end in violence. Like the terror of stalking is almost always psychological and emotional and all that. But the show opens with a woman being lit on fire. And so like in terms of like heightening and like you said, desensitizing, like that kind of violence should not happen in the first minute of your television show that is about a crime in which violence only happens in 2% of cases. Like if this was a show about stalking, it would not be it would not open like that. So it's really just a show about violence against women. Like that's what this show is. Like it's presenting a series of situations in which violence occurs against women and passing it off as entertainment. And that's really problematic. And obviously this isn't the first show to do that, but I think it's I mean, again, like it's pushed to a different level thanks to the creator of the following, Kevin Williamson, behind the show, and it's also being presented under the guise of being about stalking. And I mean, like the crew on this show in this pilot, like the Dylan McDermott and Maggie Q characters, are investigating crime scenes like they're CSI. Like it's such a generic police procedural in terms of the premise, yet it identifies specifically with stalking and then involves a bunch of women being like murdered or injured or attacked. And it's just there's no value here. And in fact, it's really like a harmful show. Yeah, it just yeah. I don't like that the show is airing at all.
No, and I think they take it a step further as if it couldn't be any worse. But like the way they write Dylan McDermott's character, like they have the scene where he's talking to Maggie Q
Mhm.
and he literally admits openly to staring at her breasts,
Yes.
that he asks her why she's wearing what she's wearing
Hmm.
because he is convinced that she did it like specifically because she wanted to be ogled.
Yeah.
I was like, as if everything else could not have been bad enough. There was that
It,
underlying misogyny, not even underlying, it was blatant misogyny that was presented
yeah.
on the show as part of just a character. And I just, oh God, it was so painful. The only reason I watched it was because we were doing the podcast.
I know.
Because
Me
if I'm
too.
just watching it like on TV, I would have shut it off after that first scene.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, trust me. I would never watch this show. Unless I was professionally obligated to. Um, yeah. The that Dylan McDermott character, I don't understand. Like they're trying to make it so that we're like they didn't condemn him for that. That's what was so weird to me. Like I thought that when he launched into that scene that you're talking about, where he's like, "I was staring at your breasts." It's like, oh, okay. So what's going to happen next is the Maggie Q character is going to tell him off. Like she's going to give a very impassioned speech to him about how disrespectful he's being. Nope. She just like had like a one-liner and then walked away. It's like, and then like the rest of the episode, I guess we're supposed to like the Dylan McDermott character. Like we're not supposed to like the show didn't go out of its way to condemn him in any way, even though he was like making light of all of this and like being openly misogynistic. Like there was no indication from the show that what he was doing wasn't okay, which was really upsetting. Like it was really just it was just upsetting. That the show didn't even acknowledge that that character at least should have been intended to be dislikable, but apparently wasn't intended to be so. So I don't know.
Ugh. And like as you said before, it's just the fact that she didn't even address, like
Right.
obviously she was offended by it, but the fact that yeah, she just walked away and like she even had like that sort of like sly smirk, like, oh yeah, like
Yeah.
whatever, this is just him.
Day of the
I'm like,
office.
oh God. Yeah, like a side glance at the camera. I'm just like, oh God, this is when like basically that's what you're seeing. Like we were talking about in Manhattan Love Story, but like when you normalize this sort of thing as like, okay, well that's just him. Like, all right, it's fine. Like as long as he doesn't do it again, or like, this is excusable, or this is men just being men. I'm like,
Yeah.
This is a horrible, horrible message that it has no business being put into a plot, especially for entertainment value. The fact that they're making light of an issue like this, I can't.
No, it's I'd use the word worthless. This is a worthless show, and I don't think anybody should watch. I co-sign with the director of the Stalking Resource Center, which, I mean, if your show prompts the director of an agency that's doing good to help people to write a letter condemning it after the first episode, it's probably time to rethink your perspective on the world. I would just throw that out there. And for someone who's like wants to defend this show, just think about which side of history you're on. Like, do you really want to go against like someone who's trying to help people in the Stalking Resource Center? Like, is that the stance you want to take? But yeah, I mean, hopefully this gets canceled very quickly and CBS issues an apology and donates a bunch of money to the Stalking Resource Center. That's the only solution I can think of.
Definitely. So next question is going to be very kind of moot point, but
yeah.
Would you give the show a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
You know, I'm going to have to go with thumbs up. No, I'm kidding. Thumbs obviously way down.
Exactly. Honestly, if I could grab like someone else's hand and also put their thumbs down along with mine, that's what would be happening right now.
You and your neighbor's thumbs all down.
Exactly. All right. So that concludes this episode of the ShowRatings.tv Pilot Roundtable. We invite you to check out this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts at southgatemediagroup.com and to read about, rate, and discuss all your favorite shows at ShowRatings.tv. You can follow me on Twitter at RichardsOlivia, Kyle at KyleLovesTV, and Show Ratings at ShowRatings.tv. Until next time, thanks for listening.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.